Hi everyone. This video will go over how to write a major scale in two keys. We'll start with C major and then write the major scale in A major. Now a scale, as you remember from our discussion about the major hexachord scale, is just a collection of pitches, one after another, that have a certain pattern of intervals between them, a certain pattern of whole steps and half steps. And so we are now moving on to the major scale, which has a total of 7 notes. And to remember the pattern of whole steps and half steps in the major scale, it's pretty simple. Again, we look to C major on the keyboard. One of the reasons, again, why we go back to the piano keyboard is that the layout of the keyboard really tells us what the major scale, what the pattern of whole steps and half steps are in the major scale. If we just look at the white keys on the keyboard, that's C major. And we can, if we ever forget what the pattern is, you can just reference that. So I have a keyboard here. You can see this is the C. Might go to a higher C. Here we go. Here's a middle C. D, E, F, G, A, B, and C. Okay, and you'll notice that they're mostly all whole steps, except that there's a half step between E and F, and then also between B and C, which is the start of the next octave of the scale. Okay. So this is just adding pretty much one more note on the major hexachord scale. Instead of going from C to A, we're now adding a B. And adding that B, the very next note after that B will return us to C. Okay, so let's write out the C major scale here on the screen. So I'll start with C. Drag it back. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and C. Okay. And to remind ourselves where the half steps are, I'm going to put a slur between scale degrees 3 and 4. Okay. And then also scale degree 7 and scale degree 1. Okay. Notice that, again, there are 7 notes of the major scale, but we have 8 notes here because we included the start of the next octave of the scale. That's the C. Okay, so it just goes in a cycle as it does on the piano keyboard. Okay, so what if we started the scale on another note? So here I'm going to start on an A. Okay. Now, to write an A major scale, first thing you need to do is just to put down all the notes in sequence according to the alphabet. Okay, so all the notes on the page should follow along space line like that. Okay, so so we have an A. So next we'll have a B, C, D, E, F, G, and then finally the A again. Okay, now just writing these notes down, they don't necessarily conform to the pattern of whole steps and half steps. That is, if you look at the C major scale again, the pattern is whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. So this pattern of intervals will give you a major scale. Okay. So the next thing, actually the last thing we need to do is to take a look at how this scale that's starting on A can be made to conform to that pattern of whole steps and half steps by using accidentals. So first, here A to B is a whole step. Okay, so that's fine. Matches the C major scale. Next, B to C is a half step, but that needs to be a whole step. So what we need to do, we need to still stick with the C. So instead of a C, we're going to use an accidental and make it into a C sharp. So it becomes B to C sharp. Okay, let me do that right now. Like that. Okay, next, C sharp to D. Okay, that's fine, that's a half step, so I'm going to actually label that with a slur. Oops. Okay, so that matches the C major scale. Next, D to E, whole step. Great. E to F. this is a half step right now, but it needs to be a whole step. See that? There's no slur on top in the C major model that we're following. So again, in order to make this a whole step, we need to change the F to an F sharp. So E to F sharp, whole step. Great. F sharp to G at the moment is also a half step, but again, we need to have a whole step in this pattern. Okay, so instead of a G, we're going to use a G sharp. So F sharp to G sharp, whole step. Finally, G sharp back to A is a half step. So that conforms with the pattern that we set up with C major. So I'm going to slur that as well to make sure that I remember that's a half step. So here it is, the A major scale. Which sounds pretty similar to the C major scale, only starting on a different note.